Deep Cover is a comedy action movie directed by Tom Kingsley. It stars Bryce Dallas Howard, Orlando Bloom, Nick Mohammed, and Paddy Considine. Kat is an improv comedy teacher beginning to question if she's missed her shot at success. When an undercover cop offers her the role of a lifetime, she recruits two of her students to infiltrate London's gangland by impersonating dangerous criminals. If I'm honest, the only reason I actually found out about this movie, I think, is due to seeing one of my mutuals on Letterboxd log the movie pretty much as soon as it came out. The username of this person escapes me, unfortunately, but I'll tell you that person works fast. The main thing that drew me to this movie was the knowledge that it was an original movie coming out. It's not a sequel, prequel, remake, and as far as I know, it's not an adaptation of any novel. This is a clean-cut, completely original film. So how is the movie itself exactly? Firstly, I want to talk about the performances, starting with Bryce Dallas Howard. I think she does a good job in the role. Along with her and her two other co-stars, it requires these actors to act as if they're different people, and when Howard has to portray herself as this tough woman, she does it to a believable extent, not just for the characters in the movie, but also to the audience watching. You believe that she can melt into this character she has created for the job she's put in. When she is playing herself being the regular, everyday teacher character, she pulls off a good deal of charm and features some great chemistry with her co-stars. Speaking of her co-stars, Orlando Bloom is in this movie too. He plays a character by the name of Marlon, which the movie notes his character is named after Marlon Brando. I actually really liked his character in this movie. He's basically meant to be an insert for these pretentious method actors that do everything they can in order to try and be their characters, and watching him fall deeper and deeper into the character he's created is humorous to watch. At the same time though, you become sympathetic to his character. Despite him being an actor, we see his career not go anywhere, and he betrays himself to have such a passion for his profession, and I feel like in a way he does this in a relatable way, not just for actors but for anyone who is passionate about their interest, even if it's not going anywhere at the moment in time. There's moments where he has to play himself to be intimidating, and he handles this aspect well to a believable extent too. Nick Mohammed plays the third member in this group of improvs, and while I haven't seen him in many movies, I thought he did a good job here too. There's this endearing awkwardness to his character which he pulls off really well. You see him do his best to connect with people, and it makes you easily sympathetic with this guy. When it comes to the action scenes, he plays the fish out of water angle really well, using facial expressions to show how out of his depth he truly is in the situations he's put into. The chemistry he has with Howard and Bloom's character was great to see. The trio bounce off each other really well, and all make a great pairing through the different exchanges they share with each other throughout the movie. Paddy Considine is in this movie too. He does a good job with the material he's given. He plays a drug dealer, and for this type of role, for most of the runtime he has to be intimidating, and when it comes to these scenes, he can be believably threatening. There's another side to his character too, where he is giving a chance to bounce off of the other characters and produces his own level of charm too. Without giving away spoilers, there's another aspect to his character which shows a more sympathetic side and gives a greater understanding as to why a man would get into this line of work, and he plays this aspect well too. Ian McShane plays the villain in this movie, and I thought he did a good job in his role. When it comes to moments where he has to be threatening to other characters, he pulls this off well to a believable extent, but for the most part of the runtime, it's clear he's having an insanely fun time in this role. He finds a way to always chew up the scenery when he appears in the movie, and it's clear that he steals all of the scenes that he's in. The plot for this movie is admittedly pretty unique. It's something I haven't seen before at first, but it's more of the structure of the movie, which features some tropes which have been seen in other movies of this type of genre before. It features a group of characters being put into a situation that they're not used to, and on top of that also features the possibility of a lie reveal plot, which is something I'm never usually fond of in movies. But surprisingly, I think with the way this movie is written, I think it's handled well, since it isn't exactly the main point of the story. The setup for a lot of the characters leads to you figuring out that they will most likely attempt to discover themselves through the runtime, which lends itself to having a couple of predictable moments throughout. which on one hand isn't exactly bad, but on the other hand, when you see one too many predictable points in this movie, it does get a little daunting. So while yes, this is an original movie, in a sense, most of the plot does resolve around ideas which have been done numerous times in movies before, not in a way where it is homaging or parodying these movies. It more so does it in a way which makes the movie feel a bit generic in the grand scheme of things. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this is a comedy. So one of the points I should talk about is if it's funny. Well, listen, maybe this movie isn't really for me, but I didn't think this movie was funny kind of at all. But as it goes, humor is subjective. So maybe some people will get more of a kick out of some of the jokes here than I did. This movie has a plot point about improv comedy. It's hard to tell if improv was actually used for some of the scenes, but upon first watching this, I personally don't think this actually was the case, as the scenes don't flow in a way that would make room for improv. There were admittedly one or two line deliveries here and there that got a chuckle out of me, but overall most of the humor just didn't really land. I think for the majority of this, it's shot pretty well. I was especially surprised at how well this movie is lit. A common thing I complain about on this channel is how in a lot of Hollywood movies there is a lack of color, or at the very least color grading, which most of the time is also due to really flat lighting at present. Thankfully here the director was competent enough to actually make this movie pretty colorful. There's a nice assortment of different reds, blues and golds throughout the runtime, especially in this seedy bar location that some of the characters spend a decent amount of time in. In terms of camera work, there isn't anything exceptional, but it still works for this style of movie. The music for this movie was composed by Daniel Pemberton, known for creating the score of the two Spider-Verse movies. The music here I thought was done well, with an abundance of action movie type of songs which didn't sound too generic. There's an attempt to incorporate that type of 70s cop show music along with some guitar tracks which all manage to suit the scenes that they're in. Overall, I thought this movie was alright. I think this certain style of writing and comedy doesn't fully gel with me, but there is certainly a decent amount to appreciate here. It's one of the few movies you may find as you're aimlessly scrolling through the plethora of choices all of these different streaming services had to offer. I'm not fully equipped to know just how consistent Amazon is when it comes to their original movies. So far from what I've seen and even reviewed on this channel, it's been quite the mixed bag, and mixed enough so where I can't fully say on what their distributed films can be like. However, I can safely say I was pretty surprised with this one, since thankfully it wasn't a waste of time. I'm giving Deep Cover 3 stars. It's well acted, with actors showcasing a great deal of chemistry between each other. The story, like I said, can get a little predictable at times, relying on being tropey rather than being extremely unique, despite its overall concept being interesting. On this channel, I am a heavy advocate for original movies, so just for that reason alone, I would recommend checking this out. If you too are looking for something a little different in the slew of movies that get released in what feels like time and time again, this is in no way a shill at all, but I found this movie on Amazon Prime, and since it is one of their original straight to streaming movies, it is actually free. So if you have that, you can check it out on there. But if you don't have it, a friend of a friend told me being a pirate is always there as another option.